All right, good evening, everybody. Hello. Hi there. What's going on? Going to be writing some. I do not have this tied into any other chat, so I'm just hanging out with you guys tonight. This is a Twitch only stream. Hey, how's it going? How's everybody doing today? Doing good? I've had a good day. It's been a Monday, but not too bad. Just work, but not too bad. Trying to catch up around the house. Ah, okay. Well, thanks for taking a moment with us and dropping in on your break. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Monday. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here. So let's make sure we can see this good. Should be able to. I think we can do that. All right. Let me get situated here. So let's just start off by writing Monday, because that's today's day of the week. So this is an M. We're going to do our D like this, then N, an O on top, and then to do AY at the end, we'll do a Y like this with an A on top. There we go. I think you're still the only one that's with us right now. I was just gonna crank up the stream and see if we had anybody pop in, just to see what was going on. Hey, we got a couple more people coming in. Welcome to the live stream, guys. We're just hanging out tonight, and if you guys have any requests, name requests, or if you just want to see something written, maybe a phrase or anything, or if you've been practicing writing Elvish or Tangwar yourself and you have a question about a word or how it looks or whatever. Hey, how's it going, Susan? Thank you for joining for the first time tonight. What we're doing here, what I do, is I teach Elvish languages, like Tolkien languages, so like J.R.R. Tolkien, so Lord of the Rings, any of these types of things sound familiar. And I've been doing this now for 18 years, been writing Elvish. So anytime that somebody wants to learn or has an interest in it, I have social media platforms that's dedicated to nothing but this, teaching how to read and write this type of character set and how you could use it in your own native language, whatever that may be, to write. I primarily teach the English mode, but I've met many people from all around the world that have different languages, sounds, and they have been able to adapt it to their mother native language or tongue. So, yep, it's been a really exciting time on the internet, getting to meet a lot of people and learning together. So I have this pulled up here, and we can write. I was thinking about writing there and back again. That's a pretty familiar phrase, and it's also something I can do in English. So let's do there and back again. And I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat, so if you have a request, be sure to put it in. And let me move that over so it's more in my eye line. There we go. Now I can see it better. Perfect. Okay. But we're going to do there and back again. So if we have anybody that just drops in suddenly, hey, thank you so much. Let me write it up here at the top. So they'll be there and back again. This brush that I'm using here, I sort of took from something else in made it. I call it my what did I call it? My light of Elendil. Because let me show you how it looks. I know it's a little bit off topic, but look how pretty it looks, right? Isn't that pretty? It gives a nice shine. Oh hey, welcome. Yep, sure. No problem. Just hang out and eventually, I mean, that's how we all learn anything. It's just repetition, seeing it over and over again. So I'm about to write there and back again. So let's do that. So for there, the TH in there actually makes more of a DH sound. So we're going to use the tangwa that makes that sound. And it looks like this. So we're going to write this, the TH like this. And then we're going to do a ore, because it's at the end of a word. We're going to put an E on top with a dot below for the silent E. See if I can get rid of this. There we go. Yes, happy Monday, everybody. I just happened to get free, and the family's doing some other things, and like got some kiddos doing homework and whatnot. So I'm like, you know what? I can pop in for about an hour and write and hang out with some people. So there. Now this next word, and, is actually pretty interesting for a specific reason. We're going to draw our D like this. Now Tolkien, because of the way he said with a proper English accent, or however you would say that, he always spelled it like this: N, D, with an E at the end. So literally in English, it wouldn't be like and. He would actually say it like this because of the way in British, or I guess English, however he would speak it, it would be like end, right? End. And that's actually how he did his shorthand version for and that's just kind of stuck for all time. So anytime anybody writes and, it's just the way we always do it, because that's the way he always did it. Sort of a little bit of a tribute to him, just the way he always wrote it. So we always write it that way. So and is like that. So back, we're going to do, let me switch my pen, Tangwar. So we're going to do a B like this. We're going to do the Tangwa that makes the K sound like this. And then do an A on top. And to make this CK, we're going to put a line beneath like this. Yeah, there's always interesting facts that a lot of people may not know about, because the language is something that is not as, I wouldn't say it's not as popular. I mean, obviously one of the most well-known things that when you think of Lord of the Rings, you think of the inscription on the ring, right? So it's very well known and popular, but the nuances behind the language is really more of a it's more of a lesser known. There's a lot of lesser known things about it. So all right, so now to do again, we're going to do the G like this with an A on top. And then we'll do the AI is a digraph. This is the Y symbol with an A on top, but it also is what we would use for the AI. So then we'll do our N, and that's there and back again. Now obviously I'm not saying that this is the way that like Bilbo would have written it. Obviously, like in the movies, you can see he was writing pretty much in like standard English. But it's fun to write well-known Lord of the Rings phrasing, popular phrases in the Elvish characters. And since what I specialize in primarily is writing the English mode, that's always fun for me. So let's do another one. Make my eraser bigger. Get rid of this. What's another one we can do? Let's see. I'm going to look up a phrase. See if you guys can guess what it's from. Let's see. Well, if I could just Google something real quick. Let me type in here. Okay, this one's going to be a little bit longer. So we're going to do I would rather share. It's not share. Is it spend? I'd rather share. What does Arwen say? Share or spend? I'm seeing both right in front of me. Now I'm confused. It's share, right? I would rather share. Yeah. Share one lifetime. Somebody has to know this in the chat. Come on, guys. Yeah, I think so too. I would rather share. I'm going to have to go watch the clip now. I would rather share one lifetime with you than face than face all the ages of this world alone. Then face all the ages of this world alone. Okay, let's get to it. All right, guys. Had a quick family moment, so just took a little pause. So we're going to do I would rather share one lifetime with you than face all the ages of this world alone. Did everybody think that's pretty accurate? We're going to go with that. I'm looking at Goodreads. Usually Goodreads is pretty accurate to the book. So, I mean, this may be a little bit different than the movie. Let's see. Yeah, it says I would rather... They're saying spend. Oh, my gosh. I think the book says spend. Okay. I see it right here in front of me. Let's listen to Arwen say it. And I hope this don't get a strike against me. She says share. Okay. I had to be sure. Okay. So I think there's a difference there. The book might say spend. The movie says share. And that's why I didn't know. Okay. So for sure, though, I just heard Arwen say, I would rather share one lifetime with you. And I've got that here. I'll share one lifetime with you than face all the ages of this world alone. Perfect. All right. Let's get started. Now that we got it. All right, so we're going to start with the I, like this. And then we're going to do a W, like this. The OU is a digraph that looks like that. Then we're going to do an L with a D. That's would. Now rather is going to be using Roman like this. Rather, so we're going to use the same TH we used last time, like this, with an A vowel on top. Ending R, which is ore, not or, ore, and then a E on top. Now we're going to do share, which is, let me get rid of this out of the way. There we go. SH looks like this, with an ending ore with an A on top. The E is silent, so we'll put a dot like that. So that is how you do I would rather share. Now let's write 1. So we're going to do an N with an O on top and E beneath. Then we're going to do lifetime. So we're going to do an L with an F like this, an I on top, and we can do a silent E here because it's silent. T, M with an I on top, and the E is silent at the end. So just take notice, even though lifetime has 2 E's in it, we're not writing it like this because this is for a vocalized E. Because both of the E's in lifetime are silent, we don't have to put the little slash, we actually use the dot beneath. Alright, so 1 lifetime with. Now the with is a breathy TH, so we're going to do a W like this, and then we'll do the single bow like this with an I on top. Now that varies depending on how you say. Some people say with. I don't. So I don't write it that way. That would determine mainly your dialect or accent. Some people say with. I'd say with. You can hear the difference. One vibrates your lips and your mouth when you say with versus with. And I say with, like a breathy with. So that's the way I write it. Alright, so U, we're going to do a Y, looks like this. The OU is a digraph, we'll write it like this. Alright, so now we're with U. We're over halfway done. So then face. So than is a TH that makes the sound like a DH. So we'll put 2 bows. Do an N with an A on top. Now face has a soft C, which sounds like a s sound. So we're going to use Silmana Corna for that. So we're going to write F. And then we'll do Silmana Corna. Because face has a silent E at the end, we can actually put a silent E there. Now all is going to be, there's 2 ways to do this. I want to cover both since I know I have people on my YouTube that have been asking for more teaching videos, so this is sort of a good moment for me to do some of this. And I want to go over something new that we just learned like literally in the past couple of weeks. Let me write all how this is acceptable and attested. You can write it like this. This is L. The bar makes 2 L's with an A on top. Now we just learned because of the art of the manuscript that has been at the museum, and people have been spreading around some of what they have seen in the New King's Letters. This is what we have seen. You can also write double L now with Alda, which is an L like this, comes down, and then it hooks like this. So I particularly used to teach this as an LD, which I have changed that in the past, and I quit using that for LD. You can see up here in the very top, up here, I started doing my LD written out like that. You can see that. So I quit doing the LD and Alda, right? Now, I haven't used Alda because I didn't see a good use case for it until now, because of the new art of the manuscript and the King's Letter and what's changed. So we've seen some attestation that Tolkien used ALL for all with an Alda like this. Just wanted to go over that. So you can use the double bar if you want to. That's fine. If you want to start using Alda for double L, that's attested by Tolkien in his writings. So just wanted to go over that because some people may not have known that. All right, so where are we at? Let's see. All the is a shorthand. There's a shorthand symbol for the. It looks like this. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's brand new to me. It will be in my new teaching materials that I'm working on right now. I'm making the new videos and we'll be publishing those hopefully in the next, or starting to publish those in the next week or so. And that will definitely be a revision in my my new teaching material, as well as many things actually. A lot of things that I had on my old material that were variations from J.R.R. Tolkien's son, and I wasn't aware of it when I first made my videos, and the later I learned about it, it was kind of too late at that point because they had already been out for a long time, and it's okay. I mean, we all grow together, we learn together. It doesn't make what I did really wrong. It's just it's not as true to the original J.R.R. Tolkien like writing. So what I'm planning on doing with my new material is making it as close to a tested J.R.R. Tolkien work. No variations, nothing, right? So yeah, go ahead and you can go check those out, but just know that there will be some things changing. There will, if nothing else, it's a lot of fun. You can go through and figure out. I did a whole series, a 9-video series, and I have riddles in every one of them that you have to solve. I have a story that I wrote from scratch, and then I put it into Elvish, and there's a piece of the story in every one of the videos, so you have to go back to all the videos and read through it and try to figure out the story. It's an actual story that I wrote about 2 elves. And then on top of that, my new material coming out, I am doing something similar. I will have a brand new story. I'm like right in the middle of it right now. I'm writing a short story about an elf who is on an adventure, learning about her. It's a female elf, learning about her destiny and fate that was sort of written for her, or fated for her, so to speak. And she's learning this path. So, and it's a short story, but I'm kind of right in the middle of that. It is recognized as a conlang, but not so as a fictional language, yes. But for sure, it is a definite. Elvish is, there's variations of it. There's different language types, so yes. But not as a recognized as far as a spoken language for people. No, it's just a fandom. Let's keep going before I get to talking too much. Let's see. We're on ages, so let's do that. So I think we can fit that in over here. We're going to do the tangle that makes the j sound like this, with an A on top. And I'm going to do a silme like this with an E on top, because the E in ages is vocalized, so we definitely want to do that. Alright, so ages of this. So of, there's a shorthand character for of. It looks sort of like the, except it has a bar beneath. That's of. Now this is going to be this. So we do the 2 bows like this, and then we'll do a silme with an I on top. And then world is going to be a W. We'll do an ore with an O on top, an L, and a D. And then the last word is alone. So let me see if I can fit it in over here. And if I can't, we'll move it. Alright, so we have an L first, the N at the end, and an O on top. The A is on top of the L, and alone has a silent E. So there we go. I think you guys can see all that. I'll move it over anyway because I can. Thankfully, Procreate allows you to do all these amazing things. And Procreate, if you're watching this, you should sponsor me. Just saying. I've been hyping you guys for years. All right. So there you go. It's a lot there. But it says, I would rather share one lifetime with you than I'm trying to read trying to read it instead of the English, than face all the ages of this world alone. So there you go. That's pretty cool. All right. Does anybody have a name request we can do? Or if somebody has a request, I'm open to doing whatever. I'm just hanging out with you guys and chatting. And just, I like to get on here and spend a little time. Yeah, let's do Susan. The more time I get to spend with you guys, the more I feel like it kind of gets my Twitch stream here opened up a little bit more, and maybe if somebody randomly pops in, they'll be like, hey, this is cool. I didn't know that there was something like this on Twitch, which honestly I doubt there is. I might be the only one on Twitch right now writing Elvish, so always happy to be the first anywhere. So let's do, I'm going to make my font a little bit bigger, or script a little bit bigger. All right, so we're going to start off with a silme that makes the S sound like this. And then we're going to do another silme with a U on top like this. And then we'll do an N with an A on top. That's Susan. So you've got, let me get out of the way. Here, let me move this stuff for you. But what you got here is you got your S right here. You've got a U, S, an A, and N, like that. There you go. Now this is English mode. There are different modes of Elvish. There's, this is something that we go over on our Wednesday night class. We have a class on Wednesday night about languages of Middle Earth. And we started out with primitive Elvish, worked our way through Quenya, and now we're starting to work our way through ancient Teleran. This week will be on ancient Teleran, Old Sindarin, North Sindarin, Neo Sindarin. And I think that's all we're covering this week, because that's enough. It's like over a page worth of information I'm going over. And then next week I'm planning on doing, what was the last one? Avarin's one. I think it's Nandoran. I think those two are left in the Elvish tree that I'm going through. But Wednesday night we talk about that. We talk about the differences between the Elvish languages. So one of the things that people may not know about, I'll go over that real quick. So you under the, yeah, thank you for joining that. Make sure you go look at the first one. If it's not still on my if it's not still on my Twitch feed, I post everything up to my YouTube for long-term storage. It's under the same name, Tangwar Teacher. There's a playlist right there for all my Twitch streams. So go check it out. If you missed the first one, go check that out. So up under the Elvish umbrella. So you probably heard me talking about the different languages, but what we didn't talk about was the different modes, because that's not really pertaining to what I'm talking about on Wednesday nights. But up under this Elvish modes, what you guys hear me or see me write the most is more like a common. I call it the English mode for me because I write primary English with it, and so did Tolkien. We have a lot of attested writings that he did because he was also English native speaker. So we have a lot of his technique in English form. So that's something that's attested. That's something that we can look at and gain a lot of insight to how to do it. So I do that. But also there are two others. Up under the Elvish, there is Quenya mode. It was actually the first. Then there's Sindarin mode. Now, they all three, use Tangwar as their alphabet system. Okay. Now this is similar to our modern world languages, how Spanish, English, German, French, they all use the same alphabet system, right? Obviously there's differences. Like for instance, there's accents in the letters themselves, right? Like in German, there's a umlaut. We don't use that in English, but they do. But my point is, as an English speaker, writer, reader, I can look at German and I can read it. Now, it doesn't mean that I say everything correctly, which I definitely can't. I'm not German, and I can do a little bit of German, but I'm not fluent in German. But I can read it. I mean, I recognize the letters, the characters, and with just a little bit of knowledge and training, yeah, exactly. With just a little bit of the knowledge, you can understand something because you can recognize the characters. That's my point. So in that way, all three of these modes of the languages, they share the same alphabet characters, which we call the Tangwar, or Tolkien actually called the Tangwar. And if you look in the back of the Return of the King book, if you've got that on the shelf, you'll see up under appendices or Appendix E, there's a chart, and you'll see where he actually talked about the different symbols and characters for this language set. Now, all of these languages and modes share these characters, but just like our modern day languages, when we have the differences like I was just talking about with German, they're used a little bit different. Some of the languages like Quenya and Sindarin have a little bit different use cases for some of the Tangwar. Some of them have extra symbols that are used. And for sure the pronunciation, like you was just saying, you can sound it out. If you know the proper pronunciation, you can actually understand how to read and write it. Now, there's a lot of material out there to do so. Like if you want to learn how to do Quenya, there's resources for that. There's a lot of resources for learning Sindarin, and that one I think has been taken, both of them have been taken to the next level by the fan base, with what's called like fan-made words and stuff that they have derived from the older languages, and they make these ideas, put them forth before sort of the community, and everybody kind of agrees that, yeah, that makes sense. And then they put it into a database where everybody can access it. Because most of the people that do this on the daily are in a pretty tightly woven community. We have a Discord also, if you guys want to know about that. Yeah. So it was sort of an effort that when Tolkien was no longer able to do this himself, the fans took it upon themselves to take this to that next level and keep it alive. Yes, keep progressing it, because even if it's not just fan stuff, because the holders of all this material that Tolkien wrote, they're currently still, even to this day, releasing stuff out. So the language itself still has things that change from time to time because of this. So yeah, it's definitely interesting to kind of keep up with that, and a lot of people are really into it still. It's been that way like most of my life, which is kind of amazing. So that definitely actually longer than I've probably all my life. So, but I've only been doing this for 18 years, which is not even half of my life, but still. Anyway, so that's a little bit of a breakdown on the modes. One thing that's interesting to note is, let me erase this. I'll show you an example. I think I went over this last week on Wednesday. If you saw that, we were talking about apples and potatoes. Remember, if you saw that. But I'll do it in English so it's a little bit easier to see. Let's just say we had the word. This is just what popped in my head. Igloo. That's kind of weird. All right. So this is the English way to spell igloo, right? Let's say in Sindarin, or actually this is English. All right, now the English mode, right? I'll just put a EM for English mode. You would do this like this. I, G, L, and then an O and another O. Now in Sindarin, you could do it the same way, SM, Sindarin mode. It would actually be like I, G, L, and then you could actually do a long carrier here with an O on top of that long carrier. So that would be kind of together instead of it being separate. Now Quenya mode, which was the original, would be like this. The I would stand on its own, the G, then the L, then an O here, and another O here. I don't know if that's actually easier to understand or not. They look kind of like crazy to me, but I get this question all the time, and I understand it, because if you are not familiar with how this stuff reads, and you've been watching my channel for, let's say, like months at a time, then all of a sudden I write something backwards. You're like, it breaks people's brains. You're like, oh my gosh, what did you just do? Like, I thought it was this way. It doesn't make sense. But I try to clearly state that I'm writing something in Quenya mode. And that's what that means, because Quenya mode is written a different way. Yeah, and a lot of people like that. But this is one thing I think people trip up on sometimes. And everybody has a choice. So you can do whatever you want to. It's your body. If you get a tattoo, if you want to write something, that's up to you. Let's say if somebody's name was Ben. We'll go with Ben. Good old Ben. It's getting him a tattoo. I see this a lot though. So if it was me, because Ben is an English word, I would get it in English mode like this. B N with an E on top, right? But this is something that some people do. They'll do it in Quenya mode. Now, for a name, I wouldn't necessarily think that that's bad, because I mean, it's a name. You could do that. But when people start doing phrases using the Quenya mode, I'd say that that's kind of a no-no. And the reason why is, just like Quenya mode is designated for, it's supposed to be designated for Quenya language, which is not English. You guys know this. You should know it. Sindarin mode is not English. So you should use Sindarin mode if you're writing out Sindarin words in the Sindarin language. English mode just happens to be very similar to the Sindarin mode, so they kind of work hand in hand. It's pretty good. Except Sindarin has some variations to it. But when people start trying to write English words with Quenya, yeah, that's kind of they shouldn't do that. The rule of thumb is to try to use the mode, if at all possible, that is for the language that you're writing in. Now, and people always have the choice to do whatever they want to, but it makes more sense if they do that. And that's not just my opinion. That's because Tolkien made it that way. He made the Quenya language, and there are so many attested writings that he did in Quenya that you can see it. Sure. I mean, you can see this for yourself. Just pull up There and Back Again, the book cover, and look at it, and just look at through some of the words that's in Quenya, and then pull up the King's Letter that's written in Sindarin, and you'll see the difference. You need to know what it says, but my point being, the way it's written is what I'm talking about. They're completely opposite. And that's something that a lot of people may not know or realize. And most people don't think about it because not many people delve into the Quenya. However, a lot of people like seeing it. And that's why there's some overlap there. They'll be like, oh, I like the way it looks that way. But technically, it was never intended for that use. See what I mean? So it's just it's sort of a gotcha. And people need to just know about it so they can make a proper choice. Which is also one of the reasons why, because as an English native speaker, on my channel that I do like right now for my TikTok, YouTube, all that, I'm not dealing with people that know Elvish. I'm dealing with probably 90-something% people that just know English or know a couple of languages, and English being one of them. Those are the people that are saying, hey, can you put this name or a phrase into Elvish characters, transliterate it or transcribe it. They're not, and I do get questions sometimes, can you translate this into Elvish? And I do that. But most of the time, most of the majority of requests I get are just, can you transcribe this English phrase into the Elvish so that I could get a tattoo or use it for business or whatever. So let's see. Let me look up one thing. I'm kind of getting into some of what I'm going to be talking about on Wednesday, but that's fine. It's on my mind. I've been studying. This morning I was studying before work. Just looking through the things I wanted to do for Wednesday night, trying to get it written out. Make sure I was ready for it. Let me look up a word. Let's see. Let's pick out a... I think I did that last Wednesday. I don't want to do that. I was going to do hope. I think I did that just recently. So... Ooh, here's a good one. What about, yeah, this is a good one. How to say goodbye. Farewell. That's pretty easy use case. So most of you probably have heard this if you're familiar with anything like song related. Namadier. Oh, that's supposed to have an A on top like that. Yeah. So this means basically just farewell or goodbye, right? It's the way that the elves would basically say, see you soon, farewell. It also literally means be well, let it be well to you. Yes, farewell in Quenya. Yes, that's a good point. So what we're going to be doing is writing it in Quenya as an example. So let me switch over. I have these brushes, by the way, for download, for free. So I don't know if I have it on here, but my link tree is where it's at. I need to put that. I can put it in the chat. That's a good idea. Good idea, me. If it'll let me. Yeah. There it is. My brushes are there. All my social platforms and everything are there. Okay. So to do Namadie, we would do our N first, like this, with our A on top. Then we'll do an M. Actually, yeah. Yeah. And then for the second A, because it's accented, we do that long stem like that. Then we'll do a Roman like this with an I on top and an E like this. And then Quenya, they're kind of long like that. So that's how it would be. Let me see if there is a variation in Sindarin. I don't think so. I think everybody sticks with that. Just kind of interesting. It never changed. Like people still say it in Quenya. And I think that's probably because I mean, it's a polite phrase, right? So, and because the Quenya language was such a high Elvish language, it would be something that would be more respectful. Although, spoiler alert, they actually banned Quenya from, for certain reasons. I won't spoil that. Go look that up. But I'm talking about in the stories, the lore. They banned it. But they still use it in poetry. They still use it in song. So it was well known. And most of that's one of the reasons why Quenya is so is well known more for song and literature and lore writings, things like that. It was because of what happened in the lore. People didn't speak it nearly as much for that reason. So, but there's plenty of writing out there for Quenya. So, let me look up a different one in Sindarin because I'm trying to give you guys an example of both. Let's look up a word in Sindarin. Ooh, is Athelas? Athelas, it's a weed. It makes me think it's that. Athelas is king's foil, a healing herb. Let me switch my pens. Oh, nice. Okay. That makes sense. Cool. Thanks for looking that up. Yeah, I'm looking on eldamo.org, which is actually, if you'll look on your elf dictionary site you're looking at, most of the sources come from that. It probably says that at the bottom somewhere. I'm just not. Hey, hello. Welcome to our chat and hanging out. We're just writing stuff in Elvish. So we're going to do Athelas. Yep, see? That's where I'm actually at, is Eldamo. It's basically just like a database, but man, is it ever helpful, because a lot of the time, I mean, I can only store so much information in my head. I need a proper database. So I have enough going on at the moment without, So Athelas is a Sindarin word. Let me I know how I would spell it, but let me just see. I'm gonna refer to see what I can find, just cross-reference, see what they say. It should be the same thing. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Because it's basically talking about the root words for Athelas. Obviously, las is leaf. We talked about that plenty in our previous sessions. And athai is healing. Athelas is a healing leaf. Can you put the vowel over the M? Oh, in Quenya? Are you talking about right here? Oops, I'm in the wrong pen. Are you talking about right here? Are you with us? Can you say yes or no? Yes. Okay. So because this is Quenya mode, this is what I was sort of teaching on. Quenya mode is written starting here at this point here, and then it writes, let me move that over. It starts here and then goes up, and then it goes over, and then starts here and goes up, then goes over and goes up. Quenya is like this, so that's why in this situation, because the A is accented right here, it takes a long stem. Let me get it. It takes a long stem right here. Okay, and that's why the A is there. So no, you could not. If it was not accented up here over the A, then yes. If it was not here, right here, then you would put an A right here. Hope that makes sense. So let's do Atlas. This is going to be Sindarin. And I see it's pretty neat. There is a Quenya word that it comes from. But that's actually where the healing part comes from. But we're going to do Atlas. And that's exactly how I would do it. So let's just write that. Let me make sure I got my pen. So we're going to do a TH like this, with an A on top. And then we'll do an L with an E on top. And then in Sindarin, you would actually do Silme Nakorna like this with an A on top. Again, this is not English mode, this is Sindarin mode. Has a little bit of different rules. And that's Athalas. Athalas. Healing herb. My goodness. Grabbed the wrong pen. Let's see. Healing herb. So this part here, if it's broken apart, the lost part is the leaf. Means leaf. And the healing part is where it looks like A-T-H-A-E in the Quenya. Did I do that right? A-T-H-A-E, yeah. That's the healing part. And then when it converts over to Sindarin, it becomes A-T-H-E-L-A-S. And that's where you get Athalas. Alright. So that was a little bit of a... And then, you know, anytime we do English mode, we basically are just using orthographic mode. And if you're not familiar with that terminology, it just means that instead of, like if I wrote leaf, I would literally write it letter for letter. So I'll write the L and an E, an F with an A on top. A couple other ways you could do that, and this is one of the revisions I'll be making in my new course. If you chose to do the EA with Ase, Ase looks like this. It's like a C with an E on top. It's not a C, but this is it's technically supposed to be EA, like this. This right here. Okay. And then we would just end it with elf. That's only attested, in my opinion, in one spot. And I'll probably mention that in the video. Hey, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the follow. So that's one way that you could do that. And I think I did the other one. Oh, I knew there's one more. Another way you could do this is because E-A, leaf. I'd probably just leave it at, see, you could do a silent E here, but that really wouldn't work. Let's see what this site does. I'm just curious what they do. Leaf. Oh, it's still in Cinderin. I was like, wait a minute, that is not right. Okay, they're using Ase. Okay, this site I'm looking at. There's a transcriber tool that you're welcome to use. It's techanddeal.com, and it's amazing. I will hold one reservation with that. Amazing. And I love the people that are in this community. It's phenomenal what they've done with this tool. It is super helpful. I use it all the time. I love it. One caveat. It can't, and I'm sure they probably agree with this caveat, it can't handle every single nuance that is presented in the transcriber. And it's not supposed to. I don't think it's supposed to. It does an amazing job. But you have to understand the Tangwar. You have to understand the Elvish modes and the languages. If you don't understand that, it's not going to be 100% helpful for the random person that don't know this. It's really designed best for somebody that's needing it as a quick tool to help others. Like the people in the community that I see the most, like myself and other people in our Tangwar communities, when we're trying to help other people, this is a quick way we can convert something and then share them the link and say, hey, go check this out. This is the way it's supposed to be. That's really what it's most beneficial for. But anyway, let me throw that link in there real quick. Throw that in the chat because it's worth going and checking it out. But please, please, please don't think that that it can solve all your questions. It can do right most of the time. And I certainly love the site. It's amazing. But definitely check with somebody. If you don't know what you're doing with Tangwar or Elvish, get a second opinion before you commit to anything that it tells you. I tell that to anybody. Even the stuff that I recommend, get a second opinion. There's lots of communities and people we work together. Feel free to get a second opinion, because before you commit to something like a tattoo or anything, you want to be for sure. But I work closely with a lot of these people in this community, and we all help each other, and we kind of all stay on the same page. No pun intended. So yeah, I wouldn't do that one that I was working on. I would just do what I had initially, where you do the E because it makes the E sound, and just let that A sit on top of the elf. That's how I would do leaf. Now this is the English mode, right? So I was just talking about how loss means leaf in another language, but this is just English mode here. So we'll put a little EM. This is Cinderin mode up here. This is Quenya mode. These are some examples. Just trying to give a little bit of a teaching on that. Does anybody have any more requests? I know we had just some new people pop in. Do you have a name request, like somebody's name you'd like to see written in Elvish? Be happy to do that. We would just kind of go off a little bit of a rabbit hole or tangent talking about different Elvish language modes. But I'm more than happy to do some requests if you guys have any before we drop off. Let's see, it's 9 o'clock where I'm at now. Been going for right at an hour, so yeah, sure, I can do that. Let's go ahead and do this request. Go ahead. What's your name request? And 3 different ways, which you're asking all 3 modes. All right, let me write this out so everybody, you can see it in the chat if you're watching, but just for the sake of completeness, I'll write it out in case somebody can't see the chat for some reason. We're going to do Emmanuel like this. All right, cool. Go ahead and put the name in the chat. I'll be working on this one, and we'll get to that one in a second. Do you want this Emmanuel to be done in all 3 of the modes? Is that what you're asking? So you could see it? Is that what you're asking? Okay. Alright, so let's do English mode first. Let me make sure my pen is turned to the Tangor lettering. Alright, so this will be English mode first. Let's put an E out here. So for English mode, I'm going to make the pen a little bit smaller. So we'll do an M. Move my microphone a little bit. There we go. Alright, so we've got a M with an E on top. Then we'll do an N with an A on top. And then we'll do a U like this. We'll draw our L with an E on top and a silent E at the end. That's English mode. Now, unless my eyes have deceived me, and I will verify this once just for sanity reasons, I think that Cinderine mode is going to be the same. I don't think there's Manuel. Okay, so the only difference, I'll write it out. The only difference, at least that's being mentioned here, is possibly the silent E part. So let me just we'll do Cinderine mode. It's going to be the same for the most part. I'd have to look and see if there's not a silent E in Cinderine. I'm not sure. I'd have to check that. I wonder why it's recommending on the transcriber with the E at the end like that. Yeah. So now you can do either one of these. These two right here would be fine. Yeah. Now if it's Emanuela, you would definitely want to do the E because of the E being vocalized. Alright, and so Quenya mode. Let me do a Q here. Okay, yep. No big surprises. I just wanted to check. So Quenya mode, you're going to start off with an E, like this. Do your M with an A on top. Then go into your N with a U on top. And then an E vowel by itself, like this. And an L with an E on top, like that. So that's your 3 different ways. Alright, see you, Susan. Thank you for joining, and thank you guys for subscribing and following me, and I'll see you Wednesday. So to do this, let's see if I can move this down a little bit. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. How do you do the... Okay, maybe not. Alright, so that's how I would do that. I think you can see the break between. Let's see if I can draw. I know that's not very pretty there, but I want to make sure you didn't get confused. So there. That's the 3 different ways that you could write that. Top being English mode, second Cinderine, and the third is Quenya mode. And you could do it in any of those. I would recommend the English or Cinderine mode, but English because it's an English word. Cool. Yep. And speaking of the learning from my YouTube channel, I'm about to be releasing out a whole new series, and it will have a lot of revisions and more professional grade quality everything. So new riddles, whole new story that I'm writing, short story. So be looking for that. Make sure you subscribe to me on YouTube and be looking out for that. Alright, we're going to do the 2 name requests. Making 2 paintings for your sister's nursery. Where's that name request? Did I ever get it? I'm not seeing it. There we go. Oh, no problem. Okay. Alright, so let me clear this up. I can do that with this. Erase, erase, erase. Clear layer. Boom. Alright, so let me write the names out real quick. No problem. And again, if you guys miss something because of any type of disconnect on your internet or something, I always push these up to YouTube, so you can always go back and check it later if you want to. You can also watch them on Twitch. They're on there for a little while, but eventually I think they go away. So Iris, we're going to do IRIS. Diana, 2 N's like this. And then we'll do Emerson David. Okay. Alright, so to do Iris, we're going to do a Roman like this. That's the name of the character with an I on top. And then we'll do a Silme with an I on top. Then we're going to do a D like this. Then we'll do an I, an N. And to make that 2 N's, we're going to place a bar beneath. Place our A on top. So it's D-I-A-N-N. And then we add a short carrier, which is called a telco. Put another A on top. So take that in for 1 second. I'm going to go open my door. I think my dog is stuck. Be right back. Okay, we're back. So Emerson David is next. Alright, so Emerson is going to be an M like this with an E on top. And for the R here, because it goes into a consonant, I already know that I need to make it Ore. So we're going to do that. Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate that. So we have our Ore here with an E on top. So that covers us for this section here. Now for the S, we're going to do a Silme like this. And then we'll do an N that covers the S and an N. And then for the O, we do this hook like this. And that gets us Emerson. Now for David, we want to do a D, just like we did up on top of for Diana. Then we'll do this symbol here, which makes the V sound with an A vowel on top. We'll end it with another D and place our I on top with a dot like that. And there's Emerson David. And there you go. That's those 2 names. Now this is English mode, and again, these are English names. I would definitely use the English mode to transcribe or transliterate these, which is what we just did. You're welcome. And if you take this to any other, like the Tangwar community that I'm part of on Reddit, if you ask them, they would tell you the same thing. If you trying to think of, there's also a couple of Discord groups. We all kind of do the same thing. It's all the same. We try to make everything uniform with what Tolkien did and keep things moving in that direction. Yes. Now, I'll tell you this. I prefer to use the double bar like this, which is attested. But there's also, we've seen Tolkien do this. I'll write it down here. We've seen him do the D like this, and then an I. We've seen, there's an A. We've seen him do this where he's doubled the consonant like this. I personally don't like that. It doesn't make it wrong. You can certainly do that. But like I said, I would I'd recommend this. I think it looks better aesthetically. It is attested. It's fine. Nothing wrong with doing that. We've just seen this way before, and Tolkien does different methods depending on however he feels in his writing, so it can be confusing at times. So what I try to do is I try to stick with one method that he did. I try to sort of make it into a compilation of rules and instructions, and then I push that out in a medium where people can absorb it, use it as a reference, and learn, and hopefully be able to write, like journal or make their own signs or whatever they want to do with it. That's what I do personally. I like to write. I like to journal. Cool. Sounds great. All right. Seems we got several people here. Awesome. Yep. Come back on sometime and let me know how it was received. Maybe you can give sort of a feedback or a report on that after. That'd be kind of neat to know how that went. Does anybody else have a request or anything? Looks like we just got maybe a couple more people pop in. If somebody has a request, we can write it in Elvish. I'll be trying to wrap up here in a moment. Got to get to some other things this evening before I call the day closed. Super, yep, do that. Speaking of TikTok, it was mentioned in the chat, I do have a TikTok. You can see right here beneath where my name is over to the right. You can see I have a TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, which you obviously know, and YouTube. And all those platforms have done well. And I've reached a lot of people, and I'm going to be making brand new YouTube videos and content very soon. I try to push everything I can to that because I have a lot of people that follow me there. But I really, that's the platform where I can do really the long form stuff. So I'm making all of my teaching materials that you guys should be looking forward to. Hopefully be starting pushing those out. If I can get the first video completed, maybe even the first video or two in the next week. That's my goal. I would love to. I'm actually working with some cosplayers. I've gotten in touch with some people that I follow and are friends with on TikTok, and I'm getting some footage given to me so that I can use them in my teaching material. So you'll see some of that at play in some of my materials, which is really cool. Yeah, I can do that. So I'm working with cosplayers. I'm working with the Tangor community on all the newest updates, making sure everything, hopefully when I release this, it's as professional as I could possibly make it, and just super cool, full of new information and lots of fun. So I want to make it really nice. So I'm taking my time, making sure I do it right. Not trying to rush it. So we're going to do the name Ember. I'm still taking names. You better believe it. All right, so we're going to draw our B like this. And then on top, we're going to do a bar like this for the MB. And then an A on top. We'll do Ore at the end with an E on top. That's how you do Amber. That's it. So if you guys have an Instagram, be sure to follow me there. One thing that's special about my Instagram, you may be thinking, well, why would I follow you there? I follow you already at TikTok, or I follow you at YouTube, or I'm following you here on Twitch. Why is any of that different? Why is it significant? You're welcome. Because if you follow my Instagram, you will know already. I put all my show notes and things like that into my Instagram. So everybody that follows me on Instagram usually gets snapshots of all my notes and things that I write in preparation for things coming. So you get a lot more behind the scenes type material. The TikTok crowd, even though there's a lot of people, they don't get that. I don't post everything out there on TikTok. My YouTube, they get sort of the polished, finished streams and videos that I make. They don't get the behind the scenes scratch stuff that I write and work on for my classes and whatnot. So Instagram is sort of my dumping place where I put all my stuff, my notes, and if I'm teaching a class, I'll put anything that I can out there. So you get sort of a behind the scenes view of what I'm doing and most importantly, what's coming, right? If something's coming out soon, you'll already have it pretty much sitting in front of you, so you can see it in a few days. So yeah, thank you for the follow. So that's something that's different about my Instagram. Now Twitch, that's another thing. Like people, I thank you guys for being here tonight. But one thing that maybe a lot of the TikTok people don't realize is that I do this kind of thing. I do live streaming on Twitch, and I've been doing some gaming. Like I'll play Lego Lord of the Rings. I'm probably going to start playing a couple of other games that I enjoy, just because I've been doing a lot more on Twitch. So I'm trying to get more involved and engaged in my Twitch account. So, if I got some spare time and I want to take a break, I may play some games on here. They may not be Lord of the Rings related, but it's just RPGs or something like that. So I've got a lot of stuff coming up. That's actually a good idea. I need to make that recommendation. Currently, I'm chatting with them on just my inbox on TikTok, because that's where I have the association with them, the cosplayers, and I've actually already got some footage. Somebody jumped right on top of it and was like, "Hey, I like what you're saying. This sounds great. I want to contribute," and they made a video today. I've already started editing and working on it, so I'm excited to have that stuff involved, because it will add. There's two things. One, it'll add more personality to the teaching videos, but most important to me is it is involving this community. Everybody's coming together from all of these communities that love this fandom and are putting work into these videos with me. It's not just me. I've got the Tangor teaching community coming together saying, "Hey, here's a bunch of things that we watched and loved all your old videos, but here's all the things we'd love to see. Can you add this into it?" And I'm sitting here taking notes like, "Yeah, I'd love to see that too. It's a great idea." So exactly, we have a mighty fellowship happening where people can come together, and so that when I'm done with this, it will be a community effort. It'll be something that everybody can look at and say, "Hey, I had sort of a part of that," right? Something like that, yeah. But I really wanted it to be a community effort this time, because when I first did my videos 7 years ago, I really wasn't a part of a Tangor community. That's the reason why I did the videos. That was the reason, because when I looked up Elvish writing and Tangor and this stuff on YouTube at the time, there was like nothing. Have I done Tangor teacher? Yes. Sorry, what was the question? Yeah. But that's something that I tried to find. I found, like, back 7 years ago, I found like one video. It was one video of a guy writing sort of like what I'm doing. But he did like one video, had a great response, and then nothing happened. I can't remember who it was now. But maybe something, they got caught up in life or whatever, or just didn't go back and do it. But that was the only video sitting out there. It was like it wasn't completed. And I was like, man, I wanted to watch it, and I would have sat here and learned. But what I decided, I was like, you know, if there's nothing out here, and this is it, if there's somebody out there looking for this like me, I should make it for them. So, you know, I was like, I've been writing this stuff for, since 2004. So in 2015, I decided I'll start recording these things, me teaching how to write this stuff. And I did the best. I had like a MacBook Pro at the time, and I took some fonts and Photoshop and edited all that stuff in iMovie, I think, and just put it together the best I could with a lot of, you know, whatever I could find, threw it together, and I did the best that I could with the information I had at the time that I understood, and it did very well, and that kind of catapulted me forward to becoming who I am today. Now, 7 years later, TikTok was a big part of getting more attention, and it's just kind of all come full circle, you know, on all the social media things, and now here I am on Twitch talking live and doing classes and all kinds of fun stuff, recording it and trying to build this community up more. And most importantly, like I've told Don, if you guys know Don Marshall, I told him my number one desire is that when I'm done, I want to leave behind a legacy that other people can follow that truly want to learn how to do this stuff and to honor Tolkien. That's my number one desire and what I want to see done. When I'm all said and done making videos and doing whatever I do, which I'm sure there'll come a day, you know, I don't know when, but if that ever happens, my number one desire was that I could put my mark in there and say, hey, I did my part to leave this behind so that other people could carry it on. That's what I wanted. And he told me, he responded, he said, well, you've definitely done that. You've certainly done that. So that's one thing that I believe that has happened, and I want to keep it going. And we're about to make probably one of the best English mode Tengwar teacher editions out there on YouTube, and I hope it gets a great response over the years coming. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm about to get out of here. Go ahead. I have time for a question. Go ahead. I'm going to get some water while you're asking. Okay. Let me write this out for a reference. Let's change span. All right, so we're going to do HANTANYEL. I'm pretty sure the NT has a special character. Let me just put this in because I'm pretty sure of that. Yep, I'm right. I'm actually using the transcriber now just as, yeah. So there's two characters that you'll want to pay attention to. The NT has a special character in Quenya, and then when we do the Y, but beneath the N, you'll see that in a second. So let's go ahead and write it, and this will be in the Quenya mode, and you specified that. So for the people watching this, in the chat, it was requested that we do this in Quenya mode. Okay, so let's do this. So we're going to start with our H. Yeah, I'm going to do it like this. Let me make that a little bit bigger. H. Like that. Now we'll do our A on top of the H like this. Now this NT that I was talking about, it actually looks sort of like a TH in the English mode, but this is the NT in Quenya. Now we're going to do another A on top of that. Yep, and this is the N next. Now to do the Y, we're going to do 2 dots. That's the Y when you have the NY like that. And then we're going to do an E on top with an L to finish. And the L in Quenya looks more like that. When you start using like at least when I do, the Sindarin and the English mode, I usually do my L's like this. But in Quenya, it's a little bit more uniform. So there you go. Thanks for the request. All right, guys. It's 9:30. It's right at an hour and a half, and I think I'm about to get out of here. So be sure, if you haven't already, if you're watching this later on YouTube, thank you for watching there. And you guys, make sure you go check out my TikTok, Instagram. Come over and see me on Twitch if you're watching it somewhere else. We got a good crowd here, always open, and anytime I'm go live, we just sit here and chat and write in Elvish. So, sure, yep. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things that I will make note of. The question is when I have time later, can I make a video about how to connect the letters more smoothly? So in my new teaching materials, I'm actually going to go over the typography of the Tangor characters. So part of that will be showcasing how they fit onto a proper line, baseline, mid height and all that stuff. So as a part of that, that's a good idea. I'll take note of. I may make a separate video or a part of that video with the typography that talks about how Tangor characters connect. It's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. I will make note of that. All right, so sometimes you see it written with 2 lines on the H. Okay. It's no problem. Thank you guys for the request, and thank you for being here. If this is your first time, thank you so much for popping in, and it's really nice to meet you, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. I'm about to get on out of here, so have a great evening. Bye.